whatever you know in the situation, that is knowledge, right? Truth, however, is bound up with the inconsistent. He uses Lacan's wonderful phrase that truth punctures a hole, right? Punches a hole in knowledge. And so that's what's going, being itself is actually this truth that would punch a hole in knowledge. But no one can say, you're wrong, you don't know that there's a table in front of you. Of course you know that, right? Though that is nothing more than a representation of an inconsistent presentation beneath it. Right?
Just a side note, and on that point, a side note and a dig to the postmodernists, right? This is where they get it completely wrong, right? As you were talking earlier, there's a function, right? A language, right? And within a situation, you can, use those functions to determine what is and is not in the situation. So, for example, you can determine what is or is not science, right? I.e., creationism. Within the set of all science, right, there is a function such that creationism is not science.
And you can know that.
Yeah, and you can know that. The mistake that they have is that they believe that the fact that there are other functions calls into question the very essence of functions as such. Yeah. One could derive such a function so that in the set of science, creationism is scientific,
yeah.
Right? But it's a particular sort of function that structures a new set in a particular sort of way. The very fact, as Badiou says at the very start, that there's this radical, they say nothing more than there are different situations, right? And so that's sort of where knowledge falls in that formula, in that function.
It's structured then. Knowledge is structured.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
And just to add another further dig with postmodernism is that that's why postmodernism always has to speak of strategies instead of in a more modernist vein of truth or something like that, right? Is that if I use this strategy, I can actually subvert a situation by introducing this function into that set of functions and so forth. But it always has to be the imposed, and this is why they talk about a sort of distributed subject. They don't have a distributed subject at all, right? God is actually guaranteeing their strategic wiliness and so on. So he goes to, well, actually no, let's get this on the table because this is definitely what we're doing. Also, this is on page 54. Right? Inconsistency is nothing. Inconsistency is not. Those are two different formulas that cannot be conflated, right? Inconsistency is. That's what is over here, right? Being itself is inconsistency. So it is inconsistent. So we have to say inconsistency is, but it's nothing, is the trick. Whereas what's happened traditionally is that inconsistency is said to not be, right? And he says there's this crucial difference between the statement that inconsistency is nothing and inconsistency is not. He wants to say inconsistency is nothing. Nothing is the very inconsistency of the situation.
Can I interject with a little future knowledge here?
Yeah.
So actually, can I also use that pen? We'll get to this later, but it's also worth noting that this is, again, as opposed to, let's see. Imagine I could do squirrely brackets. So this sounds like a bunch of Heideggerian wordplay,
yeah.
Garbage. That should also be said, garbage. I'm making digs all around. If you've read The Coming Insurrection, there's, which I'm in the process of reading for a different group, it's awful. And the reason why is because it's a bunch of worthless wordplay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear someone else say that.
Wow, dude, it's awful.
It's like, sorry, we can talk about it.
But here's an important thing. What Badiou is doing is not worthless wordplay. This right here, which we'll get into later, is the set of the void. I.e., let's take the set of all American presidents in this room. That is a set. That can be defined. That set is a void. Okay, but additionally, as we'll get through the axioms, right, you can make a power set, right, which is a set of, let's call this set, let's call it set A. It's dying. You can also make another set, which is also dying. We'll call subset. A subset 1, which is the set of A and the void. So what we get is you get the void, squirrely brackets, sorry. Imagine, again, can write those. Sorry, I know this seems like a long point, but I think it's absolutely vital. Okay, so this is a single squirrely bracket. This is a double squirrely bracket, right? Because it's the set of this. And all of these consist into this set, right? What you'll notice is you can rigorously formulate A subset 1, and which is, by the axiom of the power set, a power set of A. So it's not, again, you'll notice, but look what's in the set. What objects? Nothing.
And the set of nothing.
And the set of nothing. And this can rigorously be turned into a set theoretical analysis. And you can engage these sets, you can apply axioms, you can apply formulas to them, just as you could the set of the world, the set of objects, and other mathematical sets. And in fact, through this growing set, right, if you continue to take the power set to infinity, you can actually get and derive, literally from nothing, literally from the name of the void, all natural numbers. And so again, this is perhaps just a personal pet peeve, but I want to interject here as we continue. This is not just empty language game wordplay.
Yeah.
It can be rigorously defined, and Badiou will do so.
That's right.
Just really quick, so I'm looking from my left to right, that, I guess it's just the middle void, right? Does that have 1 below it as to denote a subset of the void?
Yeah.
No, that's A.
That's
going,
A.
go to your right. Right, that obviously has a 1, but go to your right, there's a little, is that, okay.
That was a comma.
That's a comma.
That was a
Okay.
comma.
Yeah.
Comma.
The null set.
It was like a
set of
1,
null
so
set.
I was
Oh,
just
yeah, sorry, comma.
Yeah.
Do you need another marker really quick? 'Cause-
No,
I'm just bad.
Yeah.
I think it will.
Sorry again to interrupt.
So, but yeah, I think this is crucial, and we'll deal with this in some detail when somewhere here. Anyway,
Sorry, I didn't mean to just derail,
But-
but I
but
think
it
that's
is-
a really vital
it
point.
is really crucial. And I think I'd add this to that side point, and that is that in ontology, it's rigorous in the strongest sense. Meaning that if it sounds like so much wordplay in philosophy, if you've done mathematics, right? This isn't wordplay. This is mathematics. All mathematicians weave all of their numbers from the void set. That's how it works. But it's true also for Badiou in non-ontological situations where it's going to sound more inevitably like wordplay. The void of a political situation. And there, it's maybe a bit more intuitive than the null set is. But it is going to be a bit more playful sounding, right? The void of this situation is blah, blah. Or Badiou elsewhere uses St. Paul's formulation that the Christians are the nothing of the world, but God can take nothing and turn them into something, and take the things that are and make them non-beings, right? His point being that the nothing of the situation then can be translated into the situation. So elsewhere it may sound more wordplayish, but in ontology it's as rigorous as anything in mathematics. So, so the nothing then is, he says, the operation. That is what the nothing is. It's the operation that counts things as 1. But since it's what counts it as 1, it itself is not counted. It's the uncounted, the nothing. And so nothing is the proper name of being. If nothing is this operation, nothing is actually the proper name of being. And again, we go back to that minimal link that Plato laid out for us. He calls it the unconscious of the situation on page 56. Also on page 55, he ties this to Plato's Timaeus as the errant cause, the wandering, something like le cons objet unfixable. So yeah, 57 is where he gets to the point that Greg was laying out. We might as well just jump straight to that, because other things I think are clear. But yeah, what we've got going on here is that everything is in ontology is woven from the void. Every number is actually a set of some sets that eventually trace all the way back to the null set.
Pardon me, what page are we looking at?
57 is where he says, third full paragraph. But if it is the theory of the void, if it is theory of the void, ontology in a certain sense can only be theory of the void. It's a theory of nothing but the void. The void taken as a set, and as a set of that set, and as a set of that with the others, and sort of taking the power set over and over and over again. It's nothing but the void. The whole thing is constructed from nothing but the void. ontology is a theory of nothing but the void, but nothing is precisely the proper name of being, and hence that's all that you're doing in ontology, is, I won't say playing with, because it's far more rigorous than that, but it's nothing but a theory of the void. But that's so radically, so taking it so far that it's striking. The important part of this that he doesn't really, he's not going to draw until meditation 5. Maybe we should just launch to meditation 5 and see if there's anything else in meditation 4 I want to get on the table.
If you, while you're thinking real quick. And it's also worth noting that when he says things like the void is everywhere, again, it's very easy to draw this sort of Heideggerian notion of, oh, the void in its own being. But actually, we'll get into this, the rigorous set theoretical analysis is that the void is a part of every set.